Hello and welcome back to Mellohi, a DSMP podcast. This is episode 34 and today we'll be discussing the DSMP world building, Quackity's character writing, and why the bench GA should play villains. As always, we refer to the characters by name and specify when we're talking about the writers, and we try and focus on analysis. Alright, we're back. Honestly, we had no idea what to talk about this episode.
Yeah.
And then we figured something out.
We didn't come into this with a plan. They're really letting us down on having, new lore. Which is half of our, episode base, our topics. So without those, it kind of gets, quiet, interesting. You know what? That's okay. We're creative people. We can come up with creative ideas to talk about. And yeah, so we came up with a creative idea to talk about, and that's, I guess I'll say it. We're going to talk about the world building on the SMP, and for that matter, the lack thereof for the majority of the first season, and how that has changed, because now, we're getting, with, Tales from the SMP, we're getting, history, we're getting, character backstories.
Natural powers.
Yeah.
Instead of characters existing, they've only existed since the start of the SMP. We have backstories for characters like Eret and Filza, and Technoblade has been implied to have a much longer history than what we've seen on screen as well.
Plus there's just more to the actual world itself, right? That hasn't occurred during the course of the SMP with the life system and how the world functions sort of has also become more recent with different things
Things have been changed, retconned, adjusted. Yeah. People used to talk about how you could be kind of careful, how characters could be kind of careless because they would know about the three life system, and the characters themselves would refer to the three life system, and there'd be so many canon deaths at every time someone died in the chat. But more recently, we've heard from Filza that they decided to make it so that characters aren't necessarily completely aware that how many lives they have left. Because it would be kind of strange for someone to know how many times they can die before it becomes permanent, right?
Yeah, it
takes a little of the
it adds a little more risk to things.
There would be no consequence to death. You just knew when you were gonna die.
Yeah, it's I feel like the live system was the first really solid piece of world building they did, but which is interesting, because I think in most cases, and I'm not going to say in all cases, because I know definitely for role plays that I've done, we just decided, hey, we're just going to throw these characters out there and we're going to see what happens. This is the setting, let's go. But I think the DSMP, very interestingly enough, didn't have any world building when it started. Literally the world building was, hey, we're on a Minecraft server. So far, this is what's happened. And this is the origins of the Minecraft server, and that's it. But as time has gone on, they've gone back and sort of retrofitted a backstory that made sense with what they had done. So Dream owning the server is both a real life thing and a canon thing, but how that exactly operates in that world is interesting. How servers work isn't really clear. We have a god now. We didn't have a god at the beginning. Dreamins are a thing. And then the Tales for the SMP, which has added this whole backstory of what the SMP was like before it became the SMP, which is interesting.
It's the Dream SMP was created and then expanded into the future and into the past from that point.
Exactly.
The past didn't exist until it suddenly did.
Yeah, it's really interesting the way that they've done it.
Either that or Dream's character is a lot older than we initially assumed.
He's an ancient landlord, everybody.
I like the 22-year-old idiot who has no idea what he's doing.
I mean, I think everyone, because ages you'd consider probably part of backstory, but they're the timeline on the Dream SMP is so scuffed. You can't really use that. Yeah, Fundy. It's all Fundy's fault, to be fair. And Wilbur. I'm gonna blame Fundy.
I don't blame Fundy because Fundy's trying to fit things with Wilbur's canon, and Wilbur's very cursed.
Yeah.
His canon is very cursed.
Wilbur's canon
No,
is very
I
cursed.
blame Wilbur and Tommy.
That's fair. You know what? I'll take it. They are the ones who say the weirdest timeline stuff. But yeah. So, world building. Which I think everyone kind of knows what world building is. It's building the world. It's all the important stuff. Like,
How
you know,
do things work? What is the mechanic of the world? That there's special abilities and stuff we should know about.
the history of it, the geography of it, which, you know, the geography of it kind of comes with the thing. You know, with the that was kind of set in stone for them.
Politics.
But even that's been added to
Laws.
because the village that went mad was originally not a thing that existed, and now it's a part of the history, and thus technically would have retroactively always existed on the server. It's just that no one ever found it. So
Except for Bonk.
And then
Except for
Mizu's
Punk.
the future for
And-
some reason.
Mizu's the future.
This
Yeah.
is the future, and Rambo builds it, and it's foreshadowed that Rambo is working on some. Well, he's been collecting basically like the ingredients for underwater conduits, and he's also
Yeah.
mentioned wanting to build an underwater city before.
Although he's dead now,
He's dead now.
so how that works
We
out
kind of all
is
know he's not
questionable.
gonna stay dead, but
I don't know.
They-
I feel
yeah.
like he's gonna be dead for a while.
he's gonna be dead for a while. But he's not going to be staying dead. Characters don't really
Yeah.
stay dead on the DSMP.
See,
Mostly
normally
'cause-
I'd agree with that, but Rambo's the only one exception that I can think of because I think Rambo as a content creator has said that he really
Yes,
wanted
he
to kill
wanted a
him
reset
as a fresh
and-
start.
Yeah,
So-
he does, but also at the same time, there are some things that can't really continue with him being dead. And and in the story as well, there are characters who would want him alive again, like Technoblade and Tubbo. So I feel like eventually, at some point in time, he's gonna be brought back. But
That's
at
true.
this current time, he wants to build.
He's gonna get
his
mollymocked.
lore as a dead
gonna-
character.
They're gonna bring him back. He's gonna get mollymocked. They're gonna, you know.
He's gonna get
know-
mollymocked.
Can he come back and be the big
That,
bad
yeah,
devil guy?
see,
That'd
he's
be
gonna get,
great.
he's
I'd
gonna get
love it.
mollymocked, guys. That's why it's happening.
Oh my
Um,
god.
Spoilers for
God.
Critical Role.
I mean, if you
Season 2.
haven't, I mean, at some
Yes.
point, you know, it's
Wes.
been a bit since you. Ugh.
It has been a bit, but it's a very long
True,
series. I
It
was
is a
in
true.
real
episode
series.
70.
Oh, well, whoops, sorry.
No, but Rambo's lore was interesting,
Uh,
but I'm almost glad that he it's weird. It's almost like everybody at some point was like, well, this shit's getting a little like complicated, so let's
Okay.
let's figure out what we want to really do, and
Yeah.
then
Pull
it's gonna be a lot of
back little bit,
retconning,
let's
but
cut off the-
oh well. I mean, that's just how RPs work.
Yeah.
Like they're very fluid.
Or like
Yeah.
you can. I mean, like Quackity did a pretty decent job of incorporating his very wild past into
Oh yeah,
his
yeah.
backstory.
So he's like Quacky's the one who like I would say is one of the best of like using the history of his character for current lore. Because it's like consistent as fuck.
Yeah.
Like there's no inconsistency. I mean not really. The only thing that's weird is he called his fiance's friends.
Like,
which was
they
just
even-
weird. Okay, that's the inconsistency I'm gonna point out. Where he like was like he kept insisting that like the fiancés were just like his best friends or something, and I was like, alright. I was like, you were engaged to them.
He's not
Yeah.
allowed to retcon that.
Well. Well, they aren't his friends anymore.
Oh god.
Guess it doesn't matter now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, Quackity's pretty consistent with his character. Like even the whole like age thing and like what is it like duck years, and how in the casino there's something for his
Yeah.
88th birthday.
Yeah. Quackity is one of the most like.
And it ties into like one of the first bits he did on the server where he said something like, "Oh, I was in juvie
Yeah,
for
and then
45
he did the
years
Joker
or
bit where he's like,
something."
that's where I got this scar, and like he didn't have any scars on his like Minecraft skin at that point, but it still was like, it's just funny how it just got like it's just foreshadowing at this point.
Oh. Quackity, as in general, is like just a really good like content creator. In terms of like he's really really good at coming up with bits, and he's really really good at incorporating those bits into something bigger. And like I don't know, his character is one of the most consistent and is one of the most
Definitely, like, one of my favorite things and like the consistent things with his character is the relationship between his character and
100%.
Technoblade.
Yeah, that's true.
And how that developed from at the start just being like bits and jokes, and now it's like a really important part of both their characters.
Yeah, definitely.
Also, him and Dreams,
But
the
being
whole thing is also
consistent
very
throughout.
consistent. Because
Yeah.
all I do now is watch Quackity lore.
They've always been like never on the same
It's weird.
side.
Like, there's a point where, like, you know, that's...
There's a post on Tumblr that's like, if Dream and Quackity teamed up
It would have been a very...
in Dream SMP,
Yeah.
they would be unstoppable.
Oh, yeah.
It's just
Yeah, it
the
would have
fact
been a very
that they're
different
enemies.
narrative. Like, he
that
was
holds
going
him
to ask
back.
him to be, like, you know, his vice president and stuff, but the Schlatt calls him on the phone. Oh my
He
god,
got
the
pissed
phone call
off.
with Schlatt is one of the most interesting parts, because, like, Schlatt calls him up and is like, you know what to do. Like, and it says all these things and, like, convinces, like, Quackity to basically, like, get him into, like, the, like, you know, the running and stuff. And it's a whole thing. It changes the entire course of the Dream SMP. But it's just interesting how consistent it is. Also, Quackity, like, brought the world building in the server to, like, a different level, too. Like, when they got Foolish on, like, that's when things really started to get in the realm of, like, gods and stuff. Like, I remember the first time Foolish, like, meets Tommy, there's, like, a whole discussion that's, like, going on, and Foolish, like, keeps bringing up the fact that, like, he's a god, and, like, he's a totem of, like, and all these things. But then, like, you got Quackity, who actually went and built, like, this modern sort of, like, resort on a server where there really wasn't that kind of stuff, except for, like, as memes, because you had the Target and, like, the Pizza Hut and stuff like that. I kind of, like, brought it...
He brought
it brought it to this
capitalism.
realm of, like, surrealism. Very
And,
Toontown, but also, like, really cool. And it's just kind of snowballed from there.
What is it? I'm trying to think. There's something that it kind of reminds me of.
Yeah,
maybe
like this,
Adventure
yeah.
Time?
It does have Adventure Time
Kinda.
vibes, yeah.
Yeah, that sort of mix of fantasy and
Yeah,
science
and this,
fiction.
and, like,
Yeah.
and then this weird
In the
sort of
world
modern and, like, not modern elements meeting, too. It's a big Adventure Time thing, because it's, like, you know, the whole reveal.
Like, we have nukes,
Yeah.
but we don't have
We
any
nukes
weapons.
now.
The only thing that's close
Like,
to a
honestly,
gun
you
is
could
a
actually, like,
crossbow.
make...
It's just...
You could actually make, like, an Adventure Time AU of the Dream SMP fairly easily.
Yeah, it would not be hard.
Because so much stuff would just fit. Like, Glass Matters would fit perfectly into Adventure Time.
Yeah. It's all very easily adaptable.
Like, it would be a really cool
Yeah.
setting in an Adventure Time episode.
It almost, yeah.
Or, like,
Yeah,
Technoblade's
just in the middle of
cabin
nowhere,
in
yeah.
the Arctic,
'Cause you
stuff
got-
like that.
There's a bunch of different, like, episodes that are like that in Adventure Time, where it's just some random cabin in the middle of the woods.
I feel like what we're really saying is that Adventure Time is just a Minecraft SMP that has been going on for a really, really long time.
There is literally an episode of Adventure Time
Minecraft.
that is
Oh my
Minecraft
God.
themed.
That's
It's
fantastic.
perfect.
Yeah, they do.
That's great.
I feel like Content Creator Dream has also like been really good at fitting what's happened in the past with the
Yeah.
games he's playing now. Because
Mm-hmm.
remember how he said like 9 months ago, basically, that Dream XD was not gonna play a
Yeah,
big role on the
nah.
Dream SMP, and look where we
Also,
are
like,
now.
he also claimed that he wasn't gonna do any coding, and, like, look where we are now. Like, he's, like, coding the shit out of stuff to, like, make the Dream SMP have all these world-building elements. Like, giving Rambu the, like, silk... What is it? Yeah, Silk Touch, like, that...
Except the chain.
That was just insane, because, like, I didn't expect him to, like, do that. But he did. And that, like, was a really cool element, because everybody reacted to it, and now we have, like, Foolish with lightning powers, and, like, Dream XD, like, giving people items.
And God powers.
Yeah, and then we got, like, you know...
He has like Foolish has as we've mentioned probably, and as most of the audience probably knows, Foolish cannot die. Foolish is a totem of undying now, and like he has a limited use of undeaths, but okay, it was really funny because so H-Bomb uploaded a video somewhat recently about the new 1.18 update, and in that update he was looking for the blue axolotl, super rare creature, and he gets it in like 3 hours, which is insane. But he goes to show it off to Foolish, and then Foolish is just, I'm not very impressed, and Foolish doesn't, apparently he doesn't like axolotls, apparently. But so H-Bomb gets a little annoyed because like, dude, I worked hard to get this, and so goes to kill Foolish, and then Foolish just doesn't die. And then H-Mon's like, what the fuck? And then he just keeps killing Foolish over and over again. And it gets really annoying. Like, oh, so now you have powers as well? That's really funny, actually.
No, yeah.
There's a lot of really good moments with that kind of stuff. And just, I don't know, it's interesting. I guess, yeah, I didn't think about it, but Foolish is like one of the first, like when they started getting into the gods and stuff. Like, I know Rambu was like the first person to sort of get a roleplay character related ability with his whole Silk Touch hands, but like, Foolish immediately after that had his whole lightning strike for lore for Eggpire stuff. I don't know, I think Rambu was like the first.
I think it's interesting because like I think part of that probably comes from the fact that he's a D&D player.
Yeah, I think so.
So he was more willing to do like add more fantastical elements to his character.
I mean,
Yeah.
the egg, you also got the
all
egg,
the
but the
D&D
egg itself
players
has
on
a
that server.
goddamn obscene amount of coding in it, so...
True. The Eggpire arc really was like the beginning of like the supernatural stuff was the
cool
beginning
stuff.
of adding like interesting coding.
Well, technically, I think it was the Dream and Hunters, but the egg arc is where it really got going. I think.
Yeah,
Demon
that's where the
Hunters was
supernatural
where
stuff got going.
Actual supernatural elements were added into the story. The egg was where they decided to code it into the actual game itself. They became like, they changed the laws of the world, essentially.
Yeah, to allow that kind of stuff.
It basically went from like an unmodded Minecraft role-playing server to a modded Minecraft role-playing server, which means
is extremely limited.
yeah, which means it just opens up a whole bunch of new possibilities. Anything can happen now. Anything.
Yeah. And I
Like say a Hermitcraft ending where the world
with the moon
destroyed
getting
because
too
the
big.
moon crashes into everything.
Moon big.
God, I miss Hermitcraft.
Hopefully next
It's
season
been like
starts.
3 weeks, but I miss it.
Yeah, oh man. The Dream SMP. Okay, let's see. World building. We're talking about world building. Let's stay on track of that. Yeah, the abilities that they've added, because all the coding and like the modding that they've done is extremely limited, and it is specifically for like roleplay aspects. Like, with the exception of 1.18, but even that has like roleplay aspects in it because they didn't want to get rid of all of the world that they had so far because it had a bunch of roleplay elements and history to it. So like even that in and of itself, like adding that little bit, and I don't know, it's interesting how they handle the roleplay. And I think we've talked about this before, because at the end of the day, it is a roleplay Minecraft server, and they never fully erase the fact that it is Minecraft in the story. Like, they're constantly mentioning, like, different, like, Minecraft mechanics or elements, or, like, the new 1.18 world, no one has made it, like, ooh, this magical portal existed one day and suddenly came to a vision. It's like, oh, no, hey, you guys want to hop over to the 1.18 version to get some moss and stuff? Like, it's not, like, they don't fantasticize.
They don't turn it into like a fantastical.
Yeah, they don't make everything like, oh, well, in the roleplay, this is this, and this is how this works. And I think Hermitcraft does that too, to some extent. But, I don't know, it turns into a really interesting version of world building, where, for all intents and purposes, the world building of the Dream SMP is, this is Minecraft. But at the same time, they take it so seriously, like, they're actually living in the world, like, this is life or death. And I don't know, it's this interesting meld of incredible seriousness, because the stakes are really high, versus, yeah, this is just a game, and if I kill you, nothing bad's gonna actually happen. Like, I'm gonna make you pay a ghost, I guess.
That's actually another thing that it has in common with Adventure Time, that mix of very heavy, very dark topics and storylines combined with just utter, complete nonsense.
Yep. I want to say, like...
And it's great.
I want to say, like, I feel like that's the reason why early Dream SMP, the discs and the items and the leather were, like, just so important, because players players can die and be revived anytime. It didn't matter. You were like, you had infinite lives essentially. But items, genuinely, there's only like, sometimes there would only ever be one of items or pets.
Mm-hmm.
And like, you get emotionally attached to a specific pack of data. And you don't, even if this pack of data dies, even if you can get a new one, it's not the same, right?
Yeah.
And that's why they had so much value and so much power in those days, and why people would often revenge kill when shit happens.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't know, it's just, everything is treated with this sort of severity, like, but it's so weird because at the same time it's not, because they're all very conscientious of the fact that, like, yeah, this is just a video game, but to our characters it's not, even though it is still, like, I don't know, it's so, I don't know how to even explain it, because it's such a weird mindset, because, like, even their characters are like, this is just a Minecraft server, but at the same time their characters act to, like, you know, even though they can like Exile, Tommy could log off anytime he wanted, but he felt like, but his character would stay, but he could, you know, canonically, he could just log off. Like, when Dream logs off to change his skin, I'm gonna put in quotation marks because that's not what he ended, because that's not what he was doing.
I think he got disconnected by accident and had to come back.
Maybe, but that's what Tommy kept yelling, is like, why is he changing his skin? Why is he changing his skin? Which is obviously a Minecraft mechanic, but he made it lore by yelling it at him. And so a lot of the times the fandom, like, turns those, like, Minecraft mechanics and they try and fantasticize and turn them into, you know, like, this is like a fantasy world where you can do this, or like,
combat locking is just a person falling asleep in the middle of battle.
A lot of, yeah, like, stuff like that. It's like, yeah, it's all fiction, it's all a video game, but at the same time, it's not, like, this has, like, they treat it like it has real world weight to it, which is really goofy, and just, I don't know, it's, the world building on the Dream SMP is, at the same time, the most loose thing. No, not at the same time. It is, it's very loose, but then they have certain, like, very set rules and laws. And so, that looseness leaves a lot of interpretation for, like, the fans and stuff, but it also makes it really, really complicated, because how the hell do you explain why Tommy is yelling, Dream's changing his skin in the middle of Ghostbur crying and whining to be saved, even though, I don't know, you know, Dream's gone, the wall is up. Why don't you send the platform over? It's like, yeah, it's just, oh my god, it's so weird.
It also doesn't help that world building is spontaneous and happens in the middle of someone's random conversation. They're just gonna drop it, and I don't think, like, they've actually, I feel like purposely they haven't really sat down and talked about how the world works.
Yeah.
So, like, not everybody's ever on the same page, and then we get situations where one person will believe the world, say, moves at 2x speed, and everybody else will say, no, it's normal speed. The prison arc was normal speed. I'm sorry, Tommy. I know you love your Hanks, but you were not there for a month. You were only there for 2 weeks. And a bit.
That's the one thing I don't get, is, like, why are they trying to make it longer? Are they trying to say that, like, that time is somehow indicative of the amount of trauma you incur? Like, I don't know. I'm like, he can still be traumatized for 2 weeks. Like, guys, I'm like, it doesn't, like, somehow make it worse just because you made it a month. Like, it's Exile.
Yeah. 2 weeks of trauma is still trauma.
Trauma is trauma. Like, it sucks. Like, that's just how it works.
If it needs to be longer for you to think it's, like, validated to be that,
then you got some internal shit you gotta deal with.
That's more of a problem on your side.
One needs to, like, look at yourself and ask, dude, bro, what the
Like,
heck?
I actually didn't expect prison to be that long, like, for the, like, in the lore. Like, when it went past, so I made a joke where I was like, it'll be a year, haha. And then when it went past a month, I was like, no, I was just kidding. And then, like, we hit, like, you know, did we actually hit the 1 year mark, or did we get close?
We got 10 months. Sabu, dude, did you almost accidentally manifest 1 year?
I just kept joking about it. I was like, haha, he'll be a year. And then, like, it fucking almost happened, and I was like, alright, well, I don't know, people are weird about the time
Well-
things. Like, someone was trying to say the prison wasn't that long, and I was like, okay. I was like, we need to just...
We have multiple characters going in. Yeah, he's left us here for like a week with no food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It took 3 months for Phil to read the letter.
Yeah, like, also Quackity confirmed it in his stream. It's real, it's in real time. Yeah.
Real time.
Like,
Yeah, and we've got Dream also, like, obviously in character. He's probably not gonna have the best sense of time, but we have him going, I've been in here for 10 months.
yeah. I don't know why people are trying to make it shorter. It's like, it's no shorter, no longer, it's 10 months. Like, take it or leave
been
it.
10 months. I mean, my personal headcanon of why Tommy thinks everything is 2x time is that he believes 12 hours equals
See,
1
now,
day.
that's actually kind of, like, a funny headcanon, but also, like... Like, I would believe that. I would believe that Tommy genuinely thinks that there's, like, a 12-hour day. Like, he's just chilling there, like...
He looks at a clock means 1 full
He,
day,
like,
right?
talks about Lemamberg one day, and, like, he's reminiscing and talking about how long it was, and, like, Wilbur just goes, what the fuck are you talking about, man? Like, it was not that long. Because, like, Tommy just keeps adding, like, 2 times the amount of time.
Well, Wilbur says that the Lemannberg Revolutionary War lasted
Alright.
a year, so really
They're both
neither
bad.
of them
No,
can
they're just
tell.
arguing about the
What
time.
do you mean? It's only been that long. It was much longer,
Oh.
Tommy. And then you have Tubbo standing, looking at them both, going, "What the fuck are you?"
See, now, I
talking
forgot Wilbur's whole thing with
Yeah.
time. You know what? That's why, you know what? That whole family, you know, that whole, like, that whole dynamic, that whole, like... Why are they so bad with time? Phil's bad with time. What's going on?
Wilbur, okay, so here. Yeah, so here's my headcanon that I think everyone should take entirely to heart. Phil cannot tell time because he's extremely old and immortal,
True.
so he is not affected by time. He raised Wilbur, his son, and never taught him how to properly read
Oh?
clocks or understand time
Oh my
either.
God.
So Wilbur did not know time. Wilbur left Phil's home, encountered Tommy, a young street kid, probably. I don't know. Tommy doesn't seem to have
Escaped
parents.
lab
Escape
so,
lab experiment.
yeah, escaped lab experiment, whichever you prefer.
Okay, my theory is because you know the whole thing that Wilbur originally wrote it, so like Tommy and Tubbo were like in their 20s, right?
He can't.
My
tell
theory is that
ages
Wilbur, upon seeing Tommy, went, oh, he's
Oh my
tall,
God.
he must be an adult.
either. Yeah.
And then he heard Tommy say that he was the same age as Tubbo and went, oh, Tubbo must be
I
an
would-
adult.
I would
Yeah, you
believe
know what?
it.
That's fair. That's also why Wilbur's character doesn't understand ages. But so Wilbur doesn't understand time properly and has a bad basis on how old people are and is just, you know, clock blind. And then he encountered Tommy as a, you know, young adult, young teenager who was raised on the streets by himself or
Escaped
didn't have
lab
parents or whatever.
experiment.
Escaped lab experiment, whatever. Either way, someone who doesn't also understand time, and then Wilbur informed him of how time works. And I'm gonna put that in quotation marks because it's not right. And so Tommy doesn't know how to tell time. Tommy doesn't know how to tell time because Wilbur doesn't know how to tell time because Phil doesn't know how to tell time. And it's just a chain reaction of the three of them all being horrible and incapable of reading a watch. And Tubbo seeing all of this and just saying, it's funnier if I just leave them like this. And no one ever told them what was actually going
It would also
on.
explain, like, the
And
Fundy
that-
thing, too.
That is now canon.
It would also explain all the Fundy thing, too. Because,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
the whole thing of, like, Fundy,
Yeah.
like, being grown up,
Because
but
Fundy's
then...
father is Wilbur.
Yeah, and then he can't understand, like, aging, so he's like, you know, he's just a baby. Like, and it's like, no, he's, like, an adult, like...
It's inherited time blindness. That's what it is. None of them can tell time. It's a miracle that anyone in Lemannberg knew.
To be fair, like the only type of clock, like the only type of measuring time on the S&P is a clock,
Which have no actual.
and then it
numbers on
tells you
Yeah.
what time of day it is.
Yeah, so I mean, good for them, I guess.
Good for them.
I mean, I want to excuse Fundy from it, if only because he had to teach himself how to
Yeah.
count, okay? Bruh.
Oh no!
No, Fundy actually came out of all of it,
Why
like,
is
understanding
Fundy
time
so
pretty well.
sad?
So...
Oh my god, Fundy. Oh, poor Fundy. God poor character.
For all that shit, the shit he's gone through, you know?
Yeah, but like, I want to excuse Fundy because content creator Fundy had to like come up with some way to fit what content creator Wilbur was saying about his character, because if you I haven't seen it myself, but apparently if you watch the first stream where Fundy is in Lemamberg with Wilbur, it's basically Wilbur trying to gaslight Fundy into being his son.
It's the honey, yeah.
Oh. Forceful adoption?
It's basically him being like, you are my son.
Because like, if you think about it, Fundy's been on the SMP longer than Wilbur.
True. I forget about that sometimes.
He's been on the Dream SMP before Lemamberg, even though in his lore it was said he was born in Lemamberg. He's actually existed for longer. And then there's the whole aspect of, so he's incorporated aspects of, I believe it's some combination of, yes, I was born in Lemamberg, but also I'm like a phoenix, so even though I was born in Lemamberg, I was still like I started like an adult mind
there's
or
a
something.
bunch of,
And then I left for like a year and grew up in Fox years.
Yeah, he came up with a very convoluted explanation for his age and his relationship with Wilbur, and I don't know, he says he's an adult and basically he was an adult in like a child's body or something like that, but at the same time he then spent the next like 3 seasons trying to find an adoptive parent when he's an adult. So like,
I mean,
it's Fundy,
Wilbur
what's
kind of
wrong
left him
with
with a lot of trauma.
It's like, okay, if you're an orphan, it's like, I don't know if any of you have ever seen Twisted, the Star Kid musical, but in it, one of the characters, Aladdin in it, is 33, and he sings an entire song about how he was orphaned at 33, and now he has no parents to take care of him, and he's a full-grown man. And that's just sort of what I picture Fundy as when he's going around trying to find someone to adopt him, because by all means he is a full-grown competent adult, but at the same time he seems to think that he has to have a parental unit to take care of him.
I feel like that was a result of Wilbur giving him trauma, like Wilbur does. He just gives the people around him trauma. But like, if you think about it, Wilbur isn't a good parent.
I mean, yeah, that's pretty clear.
Yeah.
I don't think. I think there's some people who argue he was fine and that, you know, he was mentally ill and he wasn't a bad parent. But no, he was definitely
a very shitty parent.
He was definitely a bad parent. Like, I wouldn't say.
He treated Fundy more like he didn't really treat Fundy like a person.
Yeah.
He treated him like almost a pet. Like, let's be honest, the way he sort of infantilized Fundy a lot, and like when like, oh, my precious little boy, or like he would give him important roles, but they would have no power, no meaning. Like,
he wouldn't let him do anything himself.
Yeah, he wouldn't let Fundy do stuff, and he didn't give Lemamberg to Fundy, even though he had the full opportunity to. And he's never, like, even during the elections, he didn't want Fundy as his vice president. His son, he wanted Tommy.
Yeah, and it's part of the reason that Fundy has this whole, Fundy's character has this whole thing about proving himself and finding, like, he feels like he has to be validated by someone, and that's kind of, like, why he did a bunch of shit for Schlatt. It's like, he seeks approval, but at this point, he still seeks approval, but at more so, he just seeks, like, some, like, family, like, friendship. Like, he thinks that everything is his fault as far as, like, when things go wrong.
So so him looking for that missing adult in his life that he's never really had would make sense.
I don't know, Fundy's sad, but that's oh my god, he needs therapy. Everyone on the server needs therapy, but I don't know, he needs extra therapy. He needs family.
Unpacking
therapy.
his lore
is a better parent.
Like unpacking like
oh god,
that, like the Christmas present that somebody kept wrapping in another box and then it goes down again, and you've never actually to the present. It just gives you a little slip paper that's like, go to these coordinates, and you're like, holy fucking shit. It just keeps going. I don't know.
Yeah, it's Fundy's character is, how shall I say? Yeah, he's very complicated. Like, I know, like, there's complicated characters, like Dream is a very, very complicated character. Sam has a lot going on. Quacky's got a lot going on. Wilbur's a
I mean, these are all complicated characters. Like, Nikki's complicated. Like, I mean, like...
Yeah, everyone's complicated. There's just, like...
They're all kind of complicated from the perspective that, like, they're all roleplay characters.
Well,
and a lot of them evolve from the people playing them. So they're going to have even, like, accidental complexity.
Yeah. I'm more just
from
saying...
having a person play them.
Like, all of the characters are complicated, but I think, like, Fundy has, like, a lot of layers to him that make it even more confusing because he's just been a part of a lot of things, and then a lot of his lore is based around what other people say. So it's just gotten more and more complicated and confusing over time, like this whole like Phoenix Fox death thing, or
time
the
travel
visions he randomly got, the dreams.
They better bring that back.
Him being a part of the Dreamin' Hunters, like
I want to see
sequence.
That was so
there
fun.
has not been
really
a stream that made me like feel the way I did when I watched that one where it's Fundy's Nightmare in the Lost Nevada stream. Literally insane. Like, the transition from, like, Quackity, like, basically luring him into the darkness, or, like, trying to get him to come into, like, the darkness of, like, the half, like, dilapidated tower. And then, like, he just, like, runs at Fundy and screams his name, and then Fundy wakes up. It is, like, one of the coolest scenes I have ever, like, from the entire, like, at least in my opinion, from, like, the entire, like, server. Like, I was just...
Oh, God, you just reminded me. The first time we see fucking Fundy in, like... doing his whole visions thing, like, okay, that was so cool. I wish he hadn't messed up the stream by accident, because he played the video with the sound was for some reason not working, and so he had to redo it because that was just so sad to me. Because if I were to, I was watching the VOD, so I started from this very beginning of the stream, and I wish someone had told me to start at like X point in, because then it would have been just like, wait, how on earth did he do that? And I wouldn't have known that it was because it was a recording.
Oh.
And not that it was not an actual live stream. I'm very sad about that. But it was so cool.
Like funny. Also, the way he talks about the like nightmares and the dreams, like there's a scene where in the same one with the like where he's walking with Quacky through the nightmare and he wakes up. There's when he goes to Las Nevadas in person, in real life, he talks to like Quacky about the nightmares, and he just keeps referencing this thing where he basically says that he wakes up and he wakes up and he wakes up, and it's a constant cycle, a constant nightmare, and at the end of it, there's a mirror and himself, and that's it. And I was like, he fucking said that, and I lost my mind. I was like, this dude just wrote something that is absolutely insane, because he's writing psychological horror. Like, when you have people in their dreams or nightmares confronting parts of themselves or questioning their realities, you have like moved in psychological horror. It is like one of the biggest elements of that genre is dreams and nightmares. And I was like, I want that shit back. I love horror so much. I'm goddamn like every day I'm just waiting for a Fundy stream that has another one, because I'm just like, it's so cool. Even the world building for that was just so fucking cool. Like,
Quackity and Fundy really took the like pre-recorded lore and they just mastered it. And like Fundy is sort of a showman when you think about it, because like think to the Fundy Was Taken wedding videos, and he put a frick ton of effort into that in the coding, and like he's a very smart person, but like he has sort of like an artistic like creative eye to it that like I don't know, he's crazy.
He made a program that could let you play Minecraft with your body and by dancing.
Yeah, he's done all kinds of things.
Yeah, like
wow.
he's just insane.
He's playing Minecraft in Minecraft.
That one was funny.
I think but the thing I was going to get to and then I got lost track of was that at the end of his nightmare he's being chased by a person in a dark hood, and then flash forward.
And you got the writers.
Well, not some recent, but it's the writers. Yeah. It's Quackity in his dark suit. It's the people who are watching the prison break happening from the shadows.
Someone actually wrote an essay about the writers, and it has a whole like oh my god, it's an insane essay. But it's by apple flavored Kit Kats on Tumblr. I don't remember the Twitter handle, but wild essay that just goes into like everything about the writers, because like a lot of people just kind of saw them and brushed them off, but other people were like, I'm going to analyze them, as they should. And it was just insane, because like it went into like Kanoko Kingdom and all these different elements, and yet like they haven't like done any like real kind of like, we haven't seen anything happen with the writers since, and I'm just like, when the hell is it gonna happen? When are we gonna see more of them? Because they had to have something, like, there had to be something going on with them.
Yeah, there's definitely more planned, but things have definitely hit another slow point again, and I think it's partially because we just hit, like, the Christmas season, so a lot of people were traveling, a lot of people were busy with family and holiday stuff.
Also, everybody's
and it was like the end of finals,
sick, so.
Or the, like, there's a lot of people who've gotten sick. It was the end of like the school year or school semester for like Quacky and I don't know who else is in college. Sam. I don't know.
Alamail, the two people torturing
everyone else drops out. Yeah, and like
and then obviously Techno just had a surgery, so he's probably still recovering from that.
Yeah. So like a lot of people have been busy, and I know we've been saying that for the last year, but honestly the last year has been kind of crazy for a lot of people. So it has been slow, definitely, which has brought about sort of an interesting, that and a lot of fandom drama has brought up an interesting discussion online of what if, of sort of, if the Dream SMP should continue or not.
I think,
Which I hate to say, because I love it.
I think that it should.
A lot of...
Oh, thank God, I thought you were going to talk about Doomsday Discourse.
No.
I'm in a Discord server where they literally have they got a Discourse channel and they've got a Doomsday Discourse channel.
God.
Just to quarantine it from everything else.
Do people just lose their minds about Doomsday?
How much Doomsday Discourse there
Dang.
is? I thought that was pretty firmly on like the two sides of, hey, Doomsday was great, screw Lemanberg, and no, Doomsday was awful, and screw the Doomsday Trio. And I thought that was just the two sides of it, and it was just a matter of if you like Lemanberg or not.
Well, then you've also got stuff like you've got like Fundy and Ronbu and what they think they were right, and then obviously you've got people who are like maybe
nobody talks about Quackity and Doomsday
side, but not on Dreams. And then obviously you've got the discourse around Philza and Wilbur and how Doomsday kind of brings it up.
I don't remember what
Quackity and Doomsday is actually really interesting. It's like, it actually feeds into his lore a lot. There's a whole, oh my god, it's too lengthy to get into, we don't have much time left. But, Quackity and Doomsday is a whole thing. Ranbu is also involved in it, and there's a couple other things, but like, people don't really like, I guess they just don't really consider Quackity and talk about Doomsday, but I'm like, he's a very important element because
people think Quackity only existed when he started his lore videos, and they forget his 2 years of history.
Also, Doomsday is directly linked to his like everything, so there's that too. But yeah, I don't know. That's wild that there's that much discourse. Like, holy shit, y'all gotta calm down a little bit. Sometimes there's people on the timeline, and I'm like, y'all gotta listen. Like, yes, we can analyze a lot about the Dream SMP, and yes, there's a lot to talk about, but sometimes people just get like in these fights that I'm like, why are we even fighting? What's going on?
Yeah, because there is a lot of, because the topic I was gonna get on, because I have a question that is less drastic and sad, but there has been like a lot of discussion recently about whether people think that the Dream SMP should just end already. Story-wise, because of how bad the fandom has gone inside of it in terms of harassment and doxing and death threats and
I mean, also we've seen what happens when there isn't lore for a while, and
it's self-cannibalization. But that's like, I think that the Dream SMP should continue if they want it to continue, like the creators, and if they don't, then it doesn't, because a story is as long as it needs to be. If they feel that it's done, it's over, that they need to stop or pull people out, that's fine. If they feel that it needs to go on for another 5 years, that's how long it's gonna go on. at some point, it's like, I almost wish they would pull away from...
It shouldn't be...
Yeah, I feel like they should pull away from their fans at some point. Like, I know that, like, they have to maintain a relationship to, like, do their job. But at some point, your writing is very affected if you are constantly seeing people's opinions about it. You will, like, stop writing at some point. Because you are so worried about how somebody will interpret even the smallest thing. And at some point, you have to just pull the hell back and just write. And just make something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I think, like, I personally, like, I want lore to continue, right? Like, I find the Dream SMP lore very engaging, and I love the characters, and there's so much, and it's clear that the writers themselves really love it. So I wouldn't want it to stop unless they are ready to let it stop. But, like, I don't know, part of me at the same time, because of how bad the fandom, like, discourse has gotten, wants it to come to some sort of resolution soon, even if it's just this current story, right? Like, and this was gonna be one of my questions that I was gonna ask you guys, since we are getting towards the end, and I figure it's an interesting note to end on, because it's more or less like the future of the SMP. Like, so one thing that I think would be really interesting was for them to finish out this storyline however they wanted, even if it was just, like, calling it quits right here, because there isn't anything, like, there's the beginning of build up towards something else, like, other things happening, but, so it wouldn't be, like, a satisfying ending, but at the same time, it's not, like, ending in the middle of lore, so, because I think season 4 hasn't really kicked off, so some people are like, well, if it was gonna end now was, like, not a terrible time, or if it wanted to end in the future, but, like, I think part of me really wants, like, I love the lore, I think it's really cool, and I want them to continue making it, but I honestly, sometimes, with how bad this fandom discussion has gotten, and how bad the harassment has gotten, and how overwhelmingly stupid it all is, that they would just end this season, finish whatever lore roleplay they were doing with these characters, and then start over. Do something new, and, new story. Everyone's still there. They can make new characters.
I mean, if they ended up doing that, we kind of have to hope it doesn't end up like Origins.
Yeah.
Oh God, Origins.
Origins problem.
I feel so bad because Sneak and, like, Filza or Rambo or someone, they spent fucking hours trying to get the blue axolotl. They spent days.
Yeah.
And then, hey, sorry, buds, server's gonna be reset.
I really don't know what Origin's problem is most of the time. Like, I don't know. And that is part of the problem, right? Like, because part of the thing, because the Dream SMP is really astonishing in the fact that it's an SMP that has managed to keep going with one world for so long, because, like, Hermitcraft is the only other SMP that's, like, lasted this long, and that's because each season they do something fresh.
I mean, in not that many months, it's gonna have been going for 2 years, which is pretty impressive.
And that's really impressive for a Minecraft server.
When did it start? It started in, like...
Was it
March or April?
April of 2019?
April.
2019 or 2020?
Yeah, that's, like, 4 months.
Yeah, so it's definitely been around a really, really long time. And that's really, really impressive. But, like, more impressive is the fact that they've managed to keep going while not restarting or doing something different. Like, Hermitcraft has been going for a really long time, but part of that is because each season they add new people. They add a sort of, like, new story. Like, they had, like, the island with the trading shopping district, or this last season with one huge island with everyone, like, scattered out. And, like, everyone does something new.
It's not super roleplay based.
Yeah.
It's just, like, a bunch of friends on a server doing shit.
Yeah, but it's still impressive that has managed to keep going for so long, because a lot of SMPs that do that still die out. Like, and so... There's
definitely stuff that helped.
Yeah.
Like Dream until a few months ago, not allowing farms.
Yeah. And
now they allow them. That's something that might motivate people to go on the server more.
Part of it is the progression, but, like, and so restarting the server would be, like, highly risky, you know, because that's not, because restarting an SMP, there's always the risk that you're going to restart it and it's going to lose whatever was keeping it going. I think Dream has done a really fantastic job with managing that server and keeping it relatively active, along with, like, who he chooses to go on it. Because he has a lot of people who don't go on as often, but when they do, it makes like a huge impact. And then they have people like Foolish and Punk, who are on there almost every day,
Almost
if not every
24/7.
day, doing cool new things. And the only sad part about that is that more people don't engage with them. Other creators on the server don't engage with them as often as they probably could. But
Yeah.
like, if you, and I think part of Origin's problem is like, yeah, you have Sneak on there, but the rest of the people that are on that server aren't really
They don't go on very often.
Yeah, like Wilbur doesn't stream often, Tommy doesn't stream often, Tubbo does stream often, but he's more of a variety streamer, really. Rambo hasn't been streaming a ton, and when he has, it's been a lot of variety. I don't even know.
Philza has his
Phil-
hardcore world
yeah.
and his the DSMP as well.
So yeah, he splits between that and the hardcore. I don't even. Nikki doesn't go on there at all. Fundy
Jack.
doesn't stream. Jack streams, but he does a lot of variety. So it's like, I'm not surprised at the Origin. Not to be mean to SBI, but every single server they start does not
They
last
don't
long.
stream.
And I think part of it is that like they don't stream, but like all like the Origins SMP doesn't last. The 30 days SMP didn't last at all.
It lasted
Like-
one day.
It didn't even last. Like they gave it a time limit because they know that their servers don't last, and didn't even make it that far. Okay, like on the
Yeah.
last day, Jack logged in,
It died.
stole an axolotl, and died after like 10 minutes.
Yeah, and it's just like,
to a creeper.
why? Like I don't know what it is about. Like it's hard to say like this is
I
why
think
the Dream SMP is
the
lasted so
issue
long versus something else.
Is that a good chunk of the people who play in Origins and 30 Days and stuff, like Tommy and his friends, I don't think they're really like, they don't like playing typical Minecraft stuff. At least compared to someone like Philza. Like, it's one of the reasons that I dislike a lot of Tommy's Minecraft videos, even if I enjoy stuff like his vlogs, is just because as someone who enjoys playing regular Minecraft, they annoy me so much.
Yeah, and like I don't know, and I think a lot of those creators that are participating in that have also sort of like worked on branching out, right? Like they're not just Minecraft YouTubers. Like I don't think anyone would call Rambo just a Minecraft YouTuber anymore, because I don't know the last time he played Minecraft on stream. And so like I think a lot of them have like branched out into variety, and I don't know, like it's hard to say like, well, this is the reason the Dream SMP is successful, but these other SMPs aren't. But like there is something very unique about the way the Dream SMP has operated and managed to stay running for so long. And as I was saying before, restarting that, there's always the risk that whatever that magic is that has kept it going for so long is gonna leave. And I think part of
I
it,
think it's.
I
think part of the reason why it's been like, why people, it's less. I think part of the reason why it's been able to like live so long is because both the fans and the creators are very invested and very interested in doing stuff on the SMP. They've just been kind of blocked by miscommunication and by scheduling and by real life things. And it's not the lack of interest that causes it. That's causing this like lack of players or people on the SMP. Unlike how we might say in like typical SMPs, where people just gradually lost interest over time. So like that passion, it's not dead at all. It's like we can tell people want to do stuff because we have all this setup for a whole bunch of things that's gonna happen. Rambo has said he wants to do new things with his character now that he's got a soft reset. We have Tubbo and Techno planning stuff about trying to figure out what the fuck's up with Rambo and why he's a ghost. We have Tommy and his whole thing of running away from Dream. We have Dream and what is his deal? What's going on with him? And the whole like mystery behind how he knew where the armor was, where the axe was. And we've also got like Sam and his whole schmack, and Bad and Ant and what they're going through as prison guards. And we still haven't found the ending of the Egg Lore stream, so there's like this bunch of shit happening.
Yeah, like I think Dream. I think that is part of the reason that Dream SMP is successful, and it's the same reason that Hermitcraft is so successful, is because the people that get invited onto it, for the majority of them, are people that they know are gonna be passionate about it. So Dream's really, really good at finding people like Foolish, who are really passionate about what they do, and they just enjoy the game, and so they're gonna play the game. And I think that has really contributed to keeping the Dream SMP going. And it's, whatever. It's very impressive that it's kept going, and I think that that is something that I'm in particular really interested in. And part of, there's always that part of me that worries, if they restarted, would that kill it off? Even though I kind of really want to see what they would do with a fresh world and a fresh story. So there's that of the whole, that's been a discussion going around in the fandom discourse, but I think we're about to end. So I want to do one final question that related to that, because I asked this on Twitter and I thought the answers were very funny, especially considering I think everyone for Dream was pretty much the same. If they did restart, if they did a new world, new story, what would you want the character, what kind of characters would you want the content creators to play? And almost everyone who answered said for Dream that they just want him to be a good guy. They just want him to be the hero, or just an overly ecstatic, fun, happy dude. And I'm down for that.
I want the thing I want for him is to step away from his responsibilities and just let things happen. And then he'll be so much happier. His mental health will skyrocket. If he stopped caring.
Yeah, just play some chill guy.
Half his problems come from caring too much about what's going on his server, which is it's his responsibility. But I feel if he just stopped caring about every single person's conflict with each other and trying to meddle and trying to get them all to get along, he would be so much happier.
I think that would be really fun. I saw one person, or I said it, I think, that I thought it would be interesting if Tommy was a villain. Because I think that would be very funny.
He is a villain a little bit.
There's certain, I don't know, the content creators, a lot of them have, a lot of depth and, pretty good skill to their writing and making characters. And I think, Rambu would be hilarious as a villain. Tommy would be great as a villain.
I want Origins.
Just make Bench Trio. Yes, that. Just make Bench Trio the evil villains of a server. I think that'd be very funny. I don't know, so I'm just...
normally that they're the evil villains of a server? Techno said it before about... I saw it in a Techno compilation. About how usually I'm the bad guy on a server and it's me, everyone else, but I'm
here, I don't need to do that. Yeah, so I don't know if you guys have any ideas for certain people, because I think Fundy should get to be a main character, because clearly he's good at writing and making some wacky shit, so I think he should.
God, I miss Fundy's Dream lore so much. I want to see it back.
I think he could do some wacky things. I think Tubbo should get to play I think his Bear SMP character. I know nothing about his Bear SMP character other than that he was a god that died and was just a ghost haunting someone, but that sounds fantastic, and it sounds like something right up Tubbo's alley, so I would just love that. Oh man. Yeah, so there's my there's my final question. I don't know if anyone else has ideas for random characters. Or content.
It's not that I want him to be quote unquote good guy or a bad guy for Dream. I just want him to stop caring. Also, I would find it very funny if he was the tired owner of a server and he's just watching shit happen. People go to him to stop Sapnet from burning down everyone's house, and he's like, "What are you coming to me for? Go do it yourself."
Yeah, that's your problem, buddy. Sorry.
That sounds like a you problem.
Alright, well, this episode has been an interesting variety of topics, from world building to Fundy being sad and chaotic world building, to the fandom discourse, to the future of the Dream SMP. We really talked about it all.
Yeah. Somehow. We always manage to talk about something.
Yeah. Hopefully. Actually, I'm not gonna say anything about wanting lore in the next week for us to talk about next episode, because if I do, I bet nothing will happen. I bet nothing will happen anyways, but I'm gonna hedge my bets that if I just say nothing, it'll be fine. So,
we're gonna come back to record this next week after, like, Bad blew up Las Matas.
After Bad blows up,
and it was revealed that
Tommy's house
Rambu
again.
was working with Dream and their besties. And I don't know.
we
when
get
he
the
comes
final
back
egg power lore.
and
That's what we're gonna
finds
get.
says a prophecy.
Foolish finds the second book. Whatever that is.
No, Connor eats pants.
Connor finds
Yes.
it, okay. That's a solid prediction.
Yes, that's even better.
Nikki finally sees Wilbur again and decks him. I think
Yes.
that'd be great. That confrontation would go off really, really nicely. Slime moves in to Sam's basement.
Simon shows up and he's
He's a magma cube.
what do they call him? Magma Cube.
Yeah, that's a good one. Oh man, yeah. Alright. Well,
Essentially, random shit, super out of the blue stuff. That's what's gonna happen.
Carl.
We're gonna finally
The
get
final
next
tales of
from
the SMP.
Yeah, we're gonna get tales from the SMP. I don't know when.
I recently saw someone joke that the reason there hasn't been any tales recently is because character Carl forgot he could
I
talk.
love it. That's a good one.
That'd be great. Alright. See you
Alright.
guys.
Thanks
Next
for listening.
time.
Bye.
Well, thanks for listening to the 34th episode of Mellohi, and we hope you enjoyed it. If there's any topic you'd like to hear us discuss, feel free to leave a comment or find us on Twitter at Mellohi Podcast. You can also ask us questions or just get updates about new episodes. We also have a Discord server that you can find a link to in the description. See you next time!